Hello everyone and welcome to Team Shuriken's talk show. This is the first episode of our talk show. If you guys don't know who we are, we're Team Shuriken. We're a plat elo team, high gold, maybe a couple of us, but mostly a plat tier team. We stream practice every day from 11 a.m. to 2 p.m. Eastern on our Twitch channel. We'll provide a link for you guys, so if you guys want to check us out and actually watch us in practice. The whole purpose of that is so that we can actually have people behind us grow with us as a team. So if you guys like seeing us get better and just want to hang out with us, you guys can do that. You can also join our Discord channel as well. That is linked on the stream channel, also linked in this video. That way you guys can join us on Discord. You guys can hang out with us, talk to us, not only while we're streaming, but also outside of stream hours. You guys can ask us questions about builds, about champions, etc. Whatever you guys are interested in. That way we can connect with you guys can connect with us. That's a little bit of information about the team. The talk show though, the talk show's purpose is to give you guys a little insight as far as what goes on behind the team, as far as like what makes a team, how do we strategize, different topics just off the team. And I myself am the tournament manager slash captain of the team, right? Also a player on the team. So I can give you insight to the manager side. I also got a couple players on here that's going to give you insight as far as the player perspective and what to look out for when you're joining a team and off of their experience. And so I can talk about the establishment. They can talk about how they went about searching for a team and what they look for within a team, right? So we're going to go ahead and start off the introductions here so you guys know who we are. I'm Pandemonium, which a lot of you guys might know that since you found the channel. But those who don't know me, as I said, manager, captain, and top laner of Team Shuriken. And I'll go ahead and let our other players introduce themselves real quick.
I'm the jungler, Wolfie, or Twin. Yeah.
I'm the AD carry for Team Shuriken. My name is I Hate E-Girls.
So those are players I got with me. They'll provide insight as far as the actual the player perspective in a team environment. Give you a little bit behind the scenes, their thoughts and what they look for. So today's topic though, we're starting very basic. We'll keep going further and further off of different topics, but today's topic is the simplest as it can be: how to create a team. So this is where my expertise come in as far as the establishment, and also to how to join an established team. And this doesn't necessarily mean like this team has 5 people in there, I'm going to join and be an instant player. But if you're cool with joining a team that's not yet established, how can you identify if this is a serious team or not? Like if this guy interviews you or talks to you and he's like, yeah, we're just starting up, this is my game plan, this is what I have going on. You as a player, we're going to give you some feedback to determine if this guy is serious about his team or should you go look for somebody else. So the first thing that we're going to talk about is just the basic credentials as far as let me get my notes here real fast. The basic credentials as far as starting up a team, right? What should you do if you're wanting to start up a team, right? The basics. And we're going to start off with Twin here. I know you're not the manager of the nothing else as far as the Team Shuriken, Twin. But as far as starting up a team, right? Since you've been with us for a little bit and you can figure out, what has worked for us. If you were going to start out your own team, what would be the preparation behind you creating the team?
Okay. Well, so I would have to do a lot of personal work first before starting up a team. Like I don't just, because I know a lot of people. It's like I need members, and you just immediately go out to find members. But that's, if you're gonna start a serious team, that's definitely not the first thing you do. You need to set yourself up some guidelines on what you want out of a team. Do you want a serious team? Do you want a casual team? Do you want a team that's gonna actually do local tournaments and climb? Are you gonna have what kind of preparation do you want? What is your I guess standards for the team? You need to figure all that stuff out first. But then you need to plan for, if you get members, what standard you're going to hold them to, practice times. It's a lot of preparation along the lines of standards. I think is very important when it comes to wanting to make a team, because if you don't have that kind of structure, then it's just a mess, because then even if you start getting people, you're going to get people that aren't invested. You're going to get people that will talk a game that they want to be a part of the team, and then they won't come or fall apart, and then you won't want to either kick them, or it's a lot of managers. You need all that set before you even look for members. You need to have a game plan. You have standards. You need to have schedule, a baseline. I think that's probably the most important thing when wanting to start a team.
All right, you girls, you got something to add to that? I know you hit a lot of topics, but some topics or some areas you can either go more in depth with, or something you hadn't thought of.
Well, I think just from the ADC perspective, if I were to start a team, I think it's probably one of the most difficult teams to form, because pre-plan it, I'd probably have to find a support either off my friends list or someone I've do it with a lot, to help me make the team, just so we have a very sturdy bot lane. And I feel it'd be hard to try people out if you're the AD carry, because you're trying to do focus so much on the AD carry when you're playing the AD carry role. So I feel it'd be pretty hard to watch if your top laner and mid laner junglers actually doing what they're supposed to do and stuff. So I feel it'd be pretty difficult to make a team as an AD carry without a bunch of pre-planning. I also think it's very important that you have your own mechanics kind of down pat. But I think what it comes down to mostly, I feel is scheduling. I feel if you can get 5 people that all show up to a specific schedule, I feel that shows a really good dedicated team. So I feel the main thing you have to do.
Yeah, I think consistency is the point we're all trying to get across.
Yeah, it's pretty interesting though, as far as an ADC trying to create a team. So pretty much you would try to look for a support and try to look for more or less a co-captain to help you as far as the gameplay of watching other people play and determine if you like how they play and what their style is, determine whether or not you want them on a team.
Yeah, exactly. I wouldn't even begin forming the team before I I'd form a duo with me and a support before I formed a team around it. If that makes sense.
It's interesting, yeah. No, it just makes perfect sense. I never even thought of that, because I've never been an ADC trying to establish a team. I've always been a top main, so. Yeah, some of my thoughts to elaborate on it, because I think you guys hit the nail on the head as far as all points, but just to elaborate on some of it, because I really don't have anything new to introduce off of what you guys said. But yeah, I think establishing a timeline for yourself is definitely important. So if you were going to create a team, with me, when I create this team, I have work in the afternoon. So there's no way if I just started instantly recruiting players and afterwards I got 5 people, I really like them, I'm like, okay guys, what time can we all play? And these people work in the mornings, these people work in the afternoons, and you have to split it down the middle, and you have to start recruiting all back over again. You might have just got 1 or 2 people out of it. So establishing a timeline for yourself when you want to play. This goes for the same if you want to create a team or find a team. You're I can play these set hours. I have this set timeline that I can dedicate to playing. And it doesn't have to be that many hours. I have say if I have a 5-hour timeline, I have to find a team that plays within these hours. Yo, Wolf, I know you're trying to respond to chat, man, but we can hear your keyboard typing though in the stream.
My bad.
Yeah.
My bad.
But if I have a 5-hour timeline and I find a team that practices for 3 hours but fits within that timeline, that's good, because now I can play that team consistently without worries that I may not play. So it doesn't have to be the whole hour. It's just within those times that you can play is good. Try to establish that for yourself. And Twin said it too. Determine what type of team you want to be. And there's nothing wrong with creating a team if you don't want to be competitive. If you don't want to be tryhards and have team talks and do all this other stuff, you just want to spam games, there is nothing wrong with that. But you have to establish that before you start recruiting players, because they want to know what type of team you are and determine what, if they're into that. Because certain players look for different things. Certain people are competitive. Certain people are casual, where you have a set practice schedule and stuff, but you're not pre-planning. You're just kind of playing just for fun. And some people are just flush groups, where you have, I don't know, you make a club and you have 12 other people in there, and you just kind of play whenever. You just message, say, hey, I want to play, and they're like, yeah, I'm down to play. I play this, and that's fine too. It doesn't have to be super serious. It doesn't have to be, it could be very loose. But you just have to determine that before you start recruiting. Otherwise, you'll recruit people, and you'll get set number of people, but they'll end up leaving because that's not what they were looking for.
Yeah, especially when you are recruiting people, you need to make it clear to them what you're trying to get out of the team. That way, they have a clear understanding ahead of the ball, ahead of the schedule, like what you're looking for. So if they're like, I'm actually looking for something serious, you're looking for something casual, you back off. Because if you don't have that set, like you just said, you'll have tons of people with different ideas, and people just end up leaving over time because it's not what they thought it was or what they're looking for, etc.
Right. Okay. I think that's. Anybody else got anything to add? I think we pretty much done with that topic, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
I feel like it.
So let's go to the next topic, right? Recruitment, right? As far as the combination between the forums posts, interviews, just everything as far as recruiting a player, and you can even go a little bit into the tryout session if you want. But just a borderline recruitment, how should you go about recruiting, and what needs to be done in the preparation and during the recruitment process? So, E-Girls, I think it's your turn, man.
Well, I think, like, for me, personally, I can get along with, like, a lot of people, whether they're, like, overly aggressive or they tilt or whatever. So I think for me, especially as, like, ADC, like, if I'm looking for support, I would just find someone who's, like, as good as me in their role in that support. So I know we could just dominate bot lane after bot lane. And, like, you know, I could just put up with them in a way, and then, like, you know, the synergy would eventually, and if it doesn't, then I just find someone else. But, like, I'd be willing to give someone who's, like, you know, a little more aggressive, you know, personality-wise, like, a longer chance than, like, I know most other people, just to see, like, if they're that good, and then if they could, like, you know, fix that. If that makes sense.
Yeah, I got it.
So you're saying you would prioritize, like, the skill a little more than the personality because of how you can handle it.
Yeah, I mean, like, long-term wise, like, the personality is way more important because people can always get, like, you know, better at the game, but, like, they can't necessarily become, like, different people. But, you know, I feel like if you can get, like, that, you know, maybe it's luck or what, maybe if you can get lucky and get that person that, like, maybe he's a little over-aggressive, you know, but then they, like, you know, they settle down or, like, you know, something like that. I would just prioritize skill over personality in the short run. And then if it didn't work out, like, you know, remove them.
And this is creating a team in an ADC perspective. If the ADC was creating a team, just so the viewers aren't confused.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, so.
I'll preference that from now on.
Alright, Twin, you got anything to add, man?
Again, I think it all comes down to what your standard is. And what you're looking at a team. Like, again, if you're looking for a serious team, you have to find someone who's also got that same mindset. Because if they have the same mindset, then they're more likely going to show up to practices and stuff, which is what you want when you're recruiting for people. I play a lot of roles, so say if I were looking for people for my team, I would look for people with like-minded motivation. So I would explain forthright, hey, this is what I'm trying to get out of the team. This is, you know, accountability is going to be a huge thing. Is that something you're looking for? And if they agree, they're immediately a candidate in my, despite skill, and then, you know, we can work out playing a couple games with them and seeing what their skill level's at. If they're just a flamer or a tilter. But I look for mindset first over anything else. I obviously don't accept them in a team just because of the mindset, but that's kind of the prerequisite for me when it comes to finding people. Because if everyone's not on board, it's going to become a muddy mess, you know. So.
Okay. And a little off note, I apologize. I had music playing in the background during the talk show, which was not something I want to do. Hopefully our audio doesn't get copyrighted and the first portion gets deleted for audio purposes. So hopefully that's not the case. It's off now, so hopefully we're good. Hopefully we got away with having music that wasn't copyrighted in the beginning. So I apologize. For the future, we will do better. I just now noticed it because it was playing throughout all practice. Okay, so a little bit about me as far as recruiting. And coming off of, because obviously I created Team Shuriken, so I'll give you guys a little bit of feedback as far as how I recruited. Obviously, these guys know how I recruited because I recruited them. But a little bit of stuff they didn't know, though, maybe. When I first created Team Shuriken, right, I was actually sitting at work, right, so I already had pre-planned I was going to create a team, so I ended up typing up actual recruitment posts. I was like, hey, this is how I want my recruitment post to be, and then on top of that, in the same sheet of paper, I actually have the sheet of paper right here. I'll actually show you guys, like right there, boom, right, I typed this all up, and then on top of that, I was like, okay, it's like what he was saying. Like you want to establish what's important to you and look for that. So I create this create this forums post. And I told myself I'm gonna recruit my players before I invite them to the team or before I even try them out. That way I know that their goals as a player aligns with what we're trying to establish as a team, and at the same time too, they know what they're getting into and what they're trying out for. So if I told them, hey, this is how we do things, like, nah, I'm looking for something more casual, then they can go about looking for whatever they want. Or if they have something specific, like what are my viewpoints on coaches, and I can feed that to them, or shot calling. And if they don't like what I say, they can be like, oh, I'm just looking for something different, man. And I don't get my feelings hurt over that because there's tons of players out there in League of Legends. And I think when you're trying to establish a team, that's what you got to understand. Just because this guy doesn't work out with you, there's going to be 50 more people that reply to that post, I promise you. They're going to spam you like crazy. Just don't settle on the first thing you come across. I probably tried out, I don't know, like well over 60 people for Team Shuriken with the group I got now. And I think even with the group I got now, and counting the group I got now, I maybe have extended 8 invites out to the team. Out of like 60 plus people, I have only sat down and told people, I want you on my team. Only 8 people, right? Um, and you also have to establish expectations. So when I created this team, I was typing stuff. I said, okay, I have the expectation that it's going to take me 3 months to get a full roster that's solid, right? And my expectation actually was almost where we're at because some of the players that we got right now are kind of newer, and we don't know exactly what the future holds for us. So somebody's got some feedback coming in, guys, on their mic.
Oh, it's me. 1 second.
So we don't, we got some newer guys, so it still might hold true where we're still recruiting here in the near future. But it's been about 2 months now, and we got 5 guys that are pretty solid. I think it's going to last for a while. We'll see if, there might be one change, maybe. But hopefully we stick around with the group that we got. So it took me about 2 months. But I didn't get disappointed when people, like the other invitations I sent out and somebody wasn't making practice and I had to kick them. I wasn't disappointed because I was still within my guideline, my timeline. And you have to be realistic. You can't expect you recruiting for a week and you have the full 5 guys and then it's done. You're good. You have your team. So expectation is very important. Well thought out forums posts. Just understand you don't have to over explain everything. Keep it short, simple. Because you're going to do an interview with them. So you're going to talk to them. If that's what you want to do. If it's more casual, you don't have to do an interview. This is more of a competitive side as far as recruitment. And then type out that interview. Type out the key bulletin points. So like with mine, right? I even typed out steps of interview, introduction, information about the team, answer questions about the team. Like just like simple little stuff. That way if I ever got hung up and I was talking to the guy and had a brain fart, I could look down a piece of paper and be like, okay, this is where I'm at. And I can start talking again. At the same time, you have to ask some questions, like write down the questions you want to ask them. Like, my very first thing is confirm availability matches the team's practice schedule. So I gotta make sure this guy's like he actually read the forum post. He just didn't post on there being, hey, I want to be a team member. And the very first question I asked him, all right, do you see team availability? No, link me. I don't know what it is. And then so it gives you an idea of what type of person that guy is and what his personality is like. Is he like irresponsible or he just looking for something really random where he just wants to grind rank? It gives you a little bit more feedback.
Let's admire me for a bit.
And ask him
Don't
different
be
things
jealous.
like what are your goals as a player? Why are you interested in joining a team? Do you have team experience? All the stuff that you want to know. But yeah, the thing is when you interview people, just sit there and listen. If you don't like what he's saying, this is an interview. You control whether or not he tries out or not. You don't have to sit there and argue your viewpoints, or you don't have to argue his feedback. If he says like that's really dumb, why wouldn't you do it this way? That's a good point, man. Yeah, I'll get back with you when we can try you out. like that. Like boom, I don't have to talk to that guy ever again. I don't have to have a 2-hour lecture like why my viewpoints are more important. If he just seriously doesn't agree with you, But answer questions though. Like be open minded. If he asks you a question like what's your guys' shot calling, or how you shot call? Do you have a shot caller? And if I give my feedback, And if he doesn't like what I say, or sometimes he just has simple questions like, well, would it be better to do it this way? And I explain, why I think that's why I think I like the way I do it. And if he doesn't agree with that, then, he can look for a different team. There's tons of teams out there. He shouldn't be offended by it, and you don't have to settle on just that one guy. So yeah, preparation is a big thing as far as recruitment. Your forum posts, you prepare for a forum post, prepare for the interview, and when you try out people, don't take up too much of their time. Just play 2 or 3 games. And if they this is a mistake I made, right? I was a little bit too personal with it. If they sign up for your team, right? They fill out an application. You send them a friend request, and they accept your friend request immediately. It doesn't matter if he just instantly posted. You instantly send a friend request, and all of a sudden he's in a game. Understand that he doesn't know when you're going to reply to him. So if he joined the game, just be like, "Do you have time to talk after that game?" You know, and he'll say yes or no. If he jumps into another game without talking to you, maybe he's not interested. Um, or if you try to conduct an interview and he queues up in a game, that's my biggest pet peeve because I don't want to talk to you while you're distracted, and I feel like you're not a serious player if that's the case. So have
Hmm.
standards and expectations when you interview people. Have standards, but don't be too over dramatic because it's not a job interview. You know, don't be too dramatic, but have standards. Like if I recruit if I'm talking to somebody and he queues up while we're talking, I feel like this guy is not serious about the team. Because if I was serious about that team, I would hope if I have the time, I would hope he would let me try out after the interview. That's what I would assume what their expectations are. Um, and if they don't have time, don't take offense to it because they just randomly posted. They may not know that you were going to interview them that fast, and just be like, no problem, man. These are our practice times. Can you make this? And just see if he can make your practice if you like the interview, if the interview went well, or just figure out a time outside practice. But don't bring every single guy you interview into practice because you have no idea what type of attitude he's going to bring in the practice. It might be very toxic, and practice will be ruined for the rest of the day, and you have to start fresh tomorrow. Um, but yeah, that's a little bit of insight as far as how I recruited Team Shuriken and my thoughts on it. Do you guys have anything to add since I went through so much?
Uh, one bit of advice, kind of just off of what you said, when it comes to recruiting, don't settle. Like you said earlier, there's tons of people out there, so don't settle because you are eager to get the team going, or you just feel like you can't find this one role, so you just take the next person. Don't settle. If you're gonna set up a team, uh, do it right to your standard.
Yeah, although it feels like it contradicts my last statement, where I was like, yeah, I'll take like aggressive people. It's like I gotta agree with like not settle. I think like for me, it was just more about like finding like the diamond in the rough kind of thing.
You're
But like
also
definitely
you're
not
also
friendly.
just recruiting a support player and kind of that co-captain thing though. Whereas like with me, I was a top laner, so I could recruit more people at a time. You know what I mean? Whereas you're just
Hmm.
trying to find a support and you're finding somebody that synergizes with you before you start recruiting for the actual team itself.
Yeah, like to be honest with you, if I were to actually build a team, I'd build it very selfishly. Like I'd find the support first. I'd make sure me and him had like perfect synergy, right? And then I'd find the jungler, and I make sure that jungler like plays, junglers that I would prefer to have on the team, and that they, gank bot a lot, right? And then like mid and top can just not my lane, so I don't really care.
All right.
Not
Um,
actually.
So a question for you guys, right? Because I was talking about how I interviewed and everything else. And hopefully you guys will be honest, because I won't take, this is good criticism for me because I never even asked this to anybody as far as afterwards, after everything's said and done. I mean, also too, you can kind of provide feedback to the audience here. What do you guys think? Like, what did you guys think when I interviewed you guys with the style that I do? And if there was something that you like, hey, I wish you had done this better. What is there anything? Well, I'm phrasing this question terribly. What are your thoughts when I interviewed you, and was there anything I could have done better?
Uh, I mean, when you interviewed me, you hit the points that I was looking for. I mean, you were pretty clearly like described what you were looking for and what you wanted out of us, or at least out of me when you were interviewing me. Um, I think the only thing is like some of the questions you kind of asked me stuff. Uh, they were very short answer. Like I didn't have to talk a lot. Um, and you didn't. I felt like you probably didn't get a lot out of me based off like my personality. It was just kind of like, hey, he agrees with everything I'm looking for. Not that you like took me at my word for it, and immediately he was on the team. You played a game or two with me. Um, I don't know. Well, I think the only criticism is probably maybe a couple more games rather than just like one or two, and then saying, "Hey, we good with him? Bring it on." Because I feel like we did the same thing with Laurel Wolf. We used to have
Hmm.
another jungler.
I recruited him before you though, didn't I?
Yeah, you did.
Yeah.
But like from what he told me, it was kind of like the same thing with me. It was just like it was like a 2 game, and he was on the team kind of deal. It's hard to judge someone based off just a short amount of time. So me personally, I would do tryout session over like 2 or 3 days, and put them like on a probationary period, because one, that would test their accountability and stuff. But I mean, teach their own, you know.
Right.
Obviously, if you accept me on the team with your ether method, and I just ended up not coming, I'm going to get kicked anyway.
Mm-hmm. I definitely agree with like the probationary period type thing where you try out for more than 1 day, just because like you don't know if they're like having a bad day that day, right? And their like mechanics are a little off, or like maybe they're not thinking straight, or something happened. So like I feel that's definitely a very good way to do it. But like going back to your like main question about like criticism of your interview or whatever, this is like the first team that I ever had to like interview for. So like, I was just on like some pickup teams before. So like the interview itself, I expected it because like you posted about it, but like it was still like kind of like a surprise to me because I'd never like done like a real interview like that before.
Yeah.
And the only thing that was like mainly like a surprise was like, there were just like a few questions that I just didn't really know how to answer. I feel like I just didn't know if the answer would like make that big of a difference.
Okay.
If that
So
makes sense.
so it wasn't the fact that like I didn't know how to answer them, but they were good questions. You just thought like they weren't like necessary.
Yeah, like not necessary,
Wait,
but
do
like
you know what questions
that's,
do you know what questions they were so the audience would know?
I know like one of the questions for sure was like something about like it was either like where do you want to be like on this team in like a year, or it was
Oh, I didn't ask that. No, it wasn't.
like something
Why
about like
because I asked this is one of the questions is why are you interested in joining a team and what are your goals as an individual player? Was that it?
I feel like it was something about like popularity or something. Did you have a question about that?
Uh, if
Maybe
we
someone just
were to
mentioned that to
recruit
me.
you, what you feel you could bring as a team member, then like we wouldn't be like what if we were to recruit you, what would you bring as a team member? Was that it?
That was one of them for sure. Now that you reminded me about it, because like just to me as like an AD carry player, like as like me personally, like I can play like any type of style of AD carry, whether it's like control AD carry or like heavy damage AD carry, passive lane, aggressive lane, whatever. But like it was just I felt like it was like it was just like kind of a weird question for me to answer as an ADC because it was like I bring damage, like I shoot people, so it's like I don't know. It was just kind of weird to answer as an AD carry because if I felt like if I went on about like macro and stuff about that.
So I kind of I didn't have an issue with the questions, but I think I know what you're kind of saying. A lot of the questions can be answered very generally.
Yeah, like that.
And like anyone can just say the same answer, and you would have no clue if they're being
Right. Okay.
Like I gotta be like, what would I bring to the team? Communication, damage, like like not that those are bad questions to ask and those are bad answers, but like anyone can say anything with those. Like, I mean, I but how else are you gonna find out those answers without asking? But like,
Also, too, the reason why, okay, so these questions, too, like when I ask questions, it might not happen with you guys, but I try to probe people when I interview them. So these questions are just to get them talking. And a lot of times people are uncomfortable talking to you, especially when you tell them to interview because they're not used to interviewing for teams. So it's an uncomfortable environment, so they don't talk that much. So I ask these standard questions, and sometimes I try to probe a little bit further, especially when it comes to I ask them to have team experience. That's why I get a lot of information out of them. Like for example, and so the audience knows too, is I already told you guys this story, but so for the audience to know, there was a guy I interviewed, and his past team experience, he said he had did up his own team, and I had asked him about. I'm like, so what? So you're the captain of the team, obviously the manager. Did you have a co-captain by chance? And also too, why did the team disband, or why did you leave that group? And his response, that's I'm trying to probe information out of him, figuring out what his like what happened, because he's the captain of it, like he has the big influence over it. And he said this is what he told me, right? Because it was a gold team roughly. After recruiting everybody and him playing with them, his goal that season was to make it the challenger. Grant, he was a gold player, right? Keep that in mind. His goal that season was making the challenger, and he felt like the team that he was on, he was not able to. They were holding him back, and he would not be able to make it to challenger. So he ended up leaving the team. to me, that right there, the interview is done. I didn't want him because to me, you were a player that developed. You created your own team. You recruited these individuals, then decided the individuals weren't good enough to play with you, and so you left your own team for an unrealistic goal. So, like to me, that was done. You're out. Like I don't
Yeah,
want you anymore because you
I
don't have
agree,
you don't have
100%. Out.
dedication
I'm
to
done.
your teammates, and you're unrealistic as far as what you can accomplish within a team. So yeah, like so, and with you guys, I think with you guys, like we got along pretty good. And I'm cocky. I'm cocky when it comes to interviewing. I feel like when I talk to people, after I get them talking, they truly start talking. I can get a good feel for their personality. This is not everybody, so don't take my example for it. Those who are out there trying to establish a team. But I'm a cocky interviewer. I think once I get them talking, and after I can get done, I can get them talking for a while. I can kind of tell just from previous experience, and it might just be my Marine Corps training. I can tell off of just simple phrases they use or the way they talk or the way they present information to determine or classify them in a general area of this is the type of person he is. Like maybe he's very opinionated, but he's very loyal. And so who cares if he's opinionated? He's gonna voice his opinion, but you don't have to worry about this guy being mad and leaving you. And some people are quiet, but they're loyal too, or and that's the biggest thing for me. I judge off of loyalty when it comes to anything in life, including League of Legends teams. Um, so yeah, I probably don't extend the interview or ask the right questions just because my whole goal is to get them talking. But that's the thing. When you create your own team, you got to figure out what you want, like what information you want out of these players before you start trying them out. And with me, I don't want interviews to last too long, like a real job interview, because I'll be playing it. If the interview goes okay, I'll play some solo queues with them and start talking to them a little bit more and get to know them even better. Um, and sometimes the interviews go great, and we get in the game, and the very first game, they are raging like no other. Like, they are cussing like a sailor, just frustrated of everything. And here's the thing. It does not matter if they're frustrated at you. Because there's been interviews where games where they haven't been frustrated at me. They don't say nothing to me, but they'll complain about what other people are doing. And I know that this guy is just a toxic player. Like, I can't have this in my team environment. He'll be too vocal about it. If you get mad at the game, who cares? If you mute your mic, I don't know any difference. Neither do any other player. You can sit there and cuss us out. As long as it's muted, it really doesn't matter. But as long as comms are clean, and after the game, even if you have to take a 5 minute or just to walk away for a second and come back, and you can talk about it in a mature manner, I don't care. I really don't care what goes behind on your end of the computer. Um, so yeah, it's just a little bit of feedback. Uh, off of what you guys are saying, because like I'm trying like those are great feedbacks because like just because this system works for me and maybe I can counter some of the stuff that you guys say. Some of the stuff was really helpful to my perspective. Because some things that I didn't think about until you guys just now mentioned them. But there are some things where I'm like, okay, but that's not as big a deal because this is how I do things. But that's not everybody's style, and that's what the point of the talk show is, and that's what's great about it is you guys can hear back not only from a captain standpoint, but these players as well who's went through the whole recruitment process, which I hope they feel is a little bit better than most teams. So, um, do you guys have anything else to add before we move on to the next topic?
Nah, I think you hit all the points.
I
Okay.
think we covered it pretty well.
All right. So how should you conduct? Actually, so the next thing is the next topic. I don't think this will be very long, but creating a practice schedule and outlining a practice plan. How do you guys have? I know it's a very broad one, but do you guys have thoughts on just that broad topic? So, Twin.
Hello. Sorry, my mic cut out.
Okay. The topic is creating a practice schedule or outlining a practice plan. I know it's a broad topic, but do you have any just thoughts on that broad topic?
Make it realistic. Don't. I don't think. I think a lot of people like. You can't make a whole day of like practice. It can't be like 8 hour, practice schedule every day. I mean, I guess you could, but like you gotta get realistic. You gotta find a schedule that fits everyone's, times that are available, and then you need to have game time, talk time. You need to have that all planned out. But because if you're just playing games the whole day, I think there's some negative to that, especially if you're not talking about it. But when it comes to scheduling, you need to be consistent and realistic. I guess that's just my thing: realistic and consistent.
Yeah, I agree with that. I don't really know. I don't really have much to add on what Wolf said, to be honest. I think that really
I kind of covered the.
Yeah.
Okay, something I gotta add. I agree with you 100%. As far as the scheduling, and to add a little bit about the outlining of practice plans. I don't. I had the goal to do this, to outline exactly what I want to do and when I want to do it. Battle me for not doing it, despite I told myself I was going to do it my first grade the team. But it's a good idea to do that, to outline like, hey, during this time period. The reason why I don't do it is just because I'm very picky on recruitment, and my recruitment probably takes a lot longer than most teams. Um, so, but outlining your practice plan is not bad, and break it up into small sections. Like, hey, this week, we are going to talk about wording and word placements, and that week is focused on that. Don't be like this day we're talking about words. This day we're talking about teleport plays. This day is talking about jungle routes. It's too much information. Also, too, you'll waste a lot of time talking. Like today, we just had our first team talk, and it's just one of those things where if we did that every day, I don't think these guys would be on the team for very long. So,
Yeah.
so you have to be realistic. You have to understand where your players are coming from. Just because you like team talk doesn't mean everybody likes team talk. And I understand that. I think it's a necessity to the team and to be a competitive team than your average just flex or normal casual team. But you have to understand that not everybody enjoys it, not everybody likes it, and to some people it might be very frustrating actually. So you have to understand that and plan accordingly, and break it down into baby steps. Like today was actually a big step for us, but we've had a lot of small baby steps for that. Like one practice was like, yo, let's just practice teleport plays down bot lane. I'm sure you girls said that a lot. So, but yeah, just practice small stuff for a while. Just get your communication in order, because if you set out a game plan, you set up a specific comp, and you guys haven't been playing for a while, and you guys haven't been communicating for a long time, you guys aren't going to be able to do any plan effectively, because you guys will be unfamiliar with each other's able to do. You guys won't trust each other in team fights or rotations, and that's the biggest thing. You cannot pull out a team comp and do a team comp successfully until you know how to rotate as a team. And you don't need a plan for that. You just need to play games, practice talking, and just talk afterwards. What are the small things that went wrong? Not the overall perspective, the small things that went wrong, and fix just the small things first.
Seems
Um,
good.
Yeah, 100% agree with that.
okay. So okay, you got something to add? My bad.
I was just saying, just fix the very easy general things that you can fix right away, and then focus on like the specific harder things once you get the bigger things fixed. Like you prioritize, essentially.
Okay. So the last topic here, it'd be interesting hearing from you guys about this, right? The last topic. Um, your opinion on coaches, analysts, and co-managers or any other staffing positions on teams. Not talking about not talking about LCS teams. I'm talking about just like how we are, right? The like casual
Hmm.
or competitive forums teams. How we were created. Because most of our viewers will be in that spectrum more so than I doubt an LCS player would even watch this or consider our opinions. But
I think it's like for like our elo and our team. I think like the only way a coach would be like super necessary is if they're like pretty high diamond or like masters or something. Like me personally, I can never be coached by someone who's like a lower rank than me because they just feel weird. And I definitely like I wouldn't trust them. Like as petty as that sounds, I just wouldn't trust them to tell me the right plays to do.
that's fair.
Like I don't think like I really don't think a lot of people would like trust like a like silver force to like coach you properly. Like that just doesn't really make a lot of sense to me. But like an analyst, I feel like I mean they could be okay. I mean I don't really know. I've never like had an analyst or like a coach, so like I really don't know what to think about it. But I feel like a coach would only be useful if like super high elo, and an analyst would be useful like I don't know, maybe. I have yet to see, so I don't know.
So if we recruited a silver analyst and he kept stats every day, and then he came to you, just a random thing, right? He's like, um, I don't know. If he just said like, "Hey man, if you look at your stats and your CS permit is really low, do you think you can look at your games to see you can fix that?" Or if he's talking about like your wards per games are low, you think you can fix that? Would you consider what he say, despite he's silver?
Yeah, because I don't like if he's like actually like keeping the stats himself and stuff, then like the stats, you know, they speak for themselves in that way, and he's just the
Okay,
messenger. So
gotcha.
I definitely listen to him in that position.
Okay, so yeah, but if he came to you and be like, what if you went further and be like, "Hey, I think your CS is low because you're not rotating properly." Do you think it's just like, well, I don't think you know how to properly rotate, or do you think like would you actually go back and watch gameplay videos because Silver told you that?
Well, if I genuinely thought like I was at like properly rotating and they told me I wasn't, then I'd ask them like why, like what am I not like properly rotating on?
So okay,
I would ask them
I'm
to show
trying to
me
probe you
proof
here
before
just
I
so our
leave.
viewers can, I don't know, it's entertaining and also too, our viewers get entertainment
No,
out
I
of it
got
as
you.
well. So if he was like, so only if like you felt like there was an issue, um, prior till and he brought it up, or if you thought you were rotating properly and he says, hey, but you thought you were rotating properly, but your CS permit was low, and he pointed out your CS permit was low, and he says it's due to your rotations, would you take that in consideration, or would you go about just watching gameplay videos yourself and try to find your own way to correct it?
Well, if it was like a one game thing that happened, then I would have already known that myself because like I like to like try to fix things as they go. But if it happened like over and over again, I would ask them to like show me like what they mean by that. Like I wouldn't just be like, okay, he said this, now I'm gonna go watch gameplay videos, for instance. Like they'd have to show me what they meant, and then I take it into consideration.
Okay. Well, you actually go a little bit further than what I do. If I had a silver analyst tell me I was this is if I seriously didn't think it was the issue, like let's say if I was ADC and my CS permit was low, stats didn't lie, and he told me it's because I was rotating, but I personally felt like it wasn't through rotations. I felt like even if rotations are affecting my CS per minute, they were necessary because that's what the game was doing. I felt that way, and he told me otherwise. I probably actually would not listen to him because I would actually deter like rotations are one thing because I would actually look for my teammates for advice on that rather than him. If my teammates, I would in my head when he told me that, I was like, well, my teammates didn't say anything, so I don't think that's the reason why. I'll have to go back and look myself.
Mm-hmm.
So if I wouldn't even give him a chance to go back to the video and actually show me specifically unless it was already pre-recorded and was convenient for me. So you actually go a little bit further than what I would actually. So props to you, man.
Hey man, let's get it.
What about you, Twin? As far as coaches, analysts, and co-managers.
So I agree with that Elo. A coach, they need to be very experienced and ahead of us because we are like top 8% of players. Like we're not LCS Pro obviously or anything. But like someone who has either far more as much or more knowledge than us as a player, I think it's kind of what you would need for a coach. But we're also not like 15-year-olds. We're all adults pretty much. Like we can talk about mistakes like that, and we can view our own game stuff. I don't know. I'm mixed reviews on coaches. I think analysts are much more viable in a team setting like ours because it's a third person party, kind of watching what we're tunneling on. Basically, they have this wide overview and they can see things that we're not seeing in game.
Mm-hmm.
Sure, after the game's over, we can look at the stats and be like, you warded this many times, but an analyst can look at our game and be like, yeah, but you warded this one bush only, every time. Like, just stuff like that an analyst can point out. And obviously, kind of with the conversation you were saying, a lower ranked analyst, you're immediately going to have, like, I don't want to say an issue, but like, I don't really know what the word I'm looking for is,
Doubts.
but you have your
Doubts
doubt.
in his knowledge.
Yeah. If he's telling you like your roams are bad, obviously there needs to be more constructive criticism there. But like you're immediately gonna be on the defensive, like, well, what do you know? And so just for the mental state, you probably want someone with the same kind of rating as you, your rank as you, as an analyst. But then again, you have analysts on like SKT that in their solo queue they're gold. Like I think one of the main analysts for SKT is gold, and then one for TSM like 2 years ago was plat or something like that. So like you can have someone who's lower rank because you can see things. You don't have to be good at it. I'm not. Someone can be horrible at football, but they can know everything about it. You know what I mean? So I think analysts are more viable in a team setting such as us, and I don't think coaches aren't as viable.
Okay.
I don't want to keep talking too much, but that's basically my answer.
All right. All right. So my feedback on it, and hopefully I explain myself well here because I have some people that totally disagree with me and will like flame me about it. So if this gets on
Flame.
YouTube and people
Oh, boy.
watch it and comments go crazy. You know, it might not be a lot of people watching it, but if somehow people do watch it, I guarantee you there's gonna be people out there flaming for this. All right, just because I'm speaking on a manager perspective for Team Shuriken. So yeah, my perspective on coaching is it is completely unnecessary to have a coach when you're first starting up a team. And when I say first starting up, I mean at least for like a good like year plus. That's something that a lot of people will disagree about, and I understand that, and I understand I've had tons of talks about it, and I understand their viewpoints, and their viewpoints are valid, and I do agree that it will be team specific. And there is one exception to my rule about having a coach, and I'll go over that in just a minute. The one exception. So if but the reason why I feel like at least for us a coach is not necessary. For one, we're all plat plus players, so we all we're in the top 8% in North America. I know most people say we suck, whatever. They have the expectation of Bjergsen's good. um I guess Bjergsen's just good. Bjergsen's just good. Faker's great. Everybody else below Bjergsen sucks. They're below the like Bjergsen's 50%. Like if there was a rating, he's 5 out of 10. Everybody else is below that. So I think it's unrealistic, but it's the community, whatever. But I think we do pretty good. I think there's a lot that we can learn from each other within our own elo. I think I have a lot of team experience, and I have a lot of stuff that I'm wanting to try out for the team. So with me personally wanting to try out all this stuff, if I bring in a coach and I tell the team like, hey, this is how we want to play, this is what I think we should do, where your guys' feedback says great, okay, we'll make small adjustments left or right. Then I bring in a coach. He's like, this is all wrong. You should be playing this champion. You should be doing this. This guy is brand new. He doesn't know our atmosphere. He doesn't know our players. I personally are more in touch with our players than anybody else in the outside perspective because I've recruited them for one, and I've been with them since day one because I have been playing with them ever since I recruited them. So they have a lot more of a connection towards me and towards other players that join the team and are there over time and take criticism a lot better, and more willing to listen or swallow their pride if they have to, like, you know what, I don't think this will work, but we're going to try it and we'll see how it goes, you know? If somebody random came in here and we disagreed with them, even if only half of us disagree with them, it's a lot harder for us to swallow our pride and take it and try to do something completely different than the team does. Um, and there's a lot of small stuff that you have to work on. I feel like when you recruit a coach, he instantly wants to come in and say, here's the comps. This is how you want to rotate. These are the first objectives. And go a lot more in depth than what we currently, like our team talk today. I feel like if we had a coach and recruited from day one, we would have had that team talk plus like an hour plus because he would introduce a whole bunch of more concepts because he's very eager about the coaching position. And there's just a lot of small stuff that the team's got to work on before they can even draft a comp. They have to work on communication, knowing what each other's capable of, building trust. That's a big one because if I say, hey, we can fight, and you guys don't trust me, you guys aren't going to fight. Or you're just going to hang around in the back and be like, I was there, it just, you were getting beat up, so I didn't want to join. There's a lot of stuff you have to do before recruiting a coach and have them change up everything. But when you finally recruit that coach, right, after a year plus, you finally recruit that coach. If I recruited a coach after a year plus, I would sit him down and be like, hey, man, these are the compositions we got. Here's our playbook. These are the type of wording placements we have. This is how we fight for Baron. These are our goal button. When this guy ults, that's our goal button. Everybody goes in. This is the way our jungle routes at, etc. And he talks to me. He makes small adjustments left and right and talks to me. And it's okay for him to present the information, but before he presents that information, he talks to me about it so I can know in advance that I like this plan and I'm willing to try it. Or even if I don't like it, I can say, well, we'll try it, see how it goes. And also too, if I brought in a brand new guy to a team that's been around for a while, and I say, hey, I've already talked to this guy, he seems really cool. I think we should give this a shot. If he says something that the team, like for instance, Twin, if he changed your jungle route, and you would be more accepting if I said, I really like this guy and I think he can do good stuff because I had a long conversation with him. More so than if I just randomly brought him in and say, hey, I just found this guy yesterday. He's going to try to help us out because he's Diamond. This is that barrier there. You're like, well, I don't really trust him. Whereas I'm giving you the trust.
So at the same time, like you said, he's Diamond. He's accredited. He knows more than me. Hands down. Facts. Like straight. But you're right. If he's going to sit there immediately say you need to change your jungle path, that's not going to bode well with me because that's not that does you can't just tell someone to do something without explanation. I'd be like, okay, well, now why would I do that over what I was doing? I would want information. I would want reasons. I would want to understand why I'm doing these things, because no one wants to just be told what to do and then just do it. That's why a lot of people like have trouble in the military setting. You know all, like, a lot of people don't like just being given orders and not knowing why. Like, you don't need to know why. That just you focus on what you need to do. A lot of people don't work with that. So if a diamond player came in here and told me to do this, and this, I would not, and just no explanation, I wouldn't be able to deal with that. So whether or not like you introduced him into the team slowly, or if he just came day one, like, hey, found a diamond guy, he's gonna be our analyst or coach or whatever.
Would that not put you on edge though a little bit more if it was really random, more so than I had a if I explained that I had a long conversation about everything? Would it ease it, or would it not really matter? It was just kind of like whatever.
I mean, I always like more information. So if I know that you like had talked with him a while, it would put me more at ease. I don't think it would necessarily put me on edge, but I'd be wary, I guess. Like, okay, well, who is this guy? Why is he saying these kind of things? Why is he, has given his input? I would wonder what you knew about him, I guess, would be the thing, since you're bringing him on. But bottom line, yes, if I had that information, if I knew you had talked to him, I would be more at ease. I guess that's the point, and yeah, I would be.
Okay. You have anything to add to that, you girls? I'll get to my one exception here in a minute of why I think you should bring on a coach. But do you have anything to add as far as my like what we were just discussing?
I think just from an ADC perspective, for like getting a coach, the only thing I can really think about that like jumps out at me that like you would really need one for is like I'd probably just pick his brain about like matchups and stuff and what he thinks goes well into what, because he's had more experience in the bot lane than me, I'm assuming. So that'd probably be like the only thing I can think of.
Okay. That's the thing about coaching though. If I brought on a coach, that coach, even if he was like, let's say if he was Masters, right? That's the thing though. If you look at his match history, more than likely he just mains one lane. Not to say he doesn't have more game knowledge than us. You know what I mean? He'll have game knowledge because he plays in a higher tier. But at the end of the day, it's harder for him to be like, well, this does good against that, but he's never played bot lane that much, or he plays it very seldomly. Because he's Masters, like if I was a Master player, or let's just use what I am now. If I was a plat player and I switched to mid lane, or I'm trying to coach a mid laner, I'm not a plat mid laner. I don't know the matchups that well. There might be some feedback I can give to him as far as like where he should be positioning and how should he be managing waves. But I can't say like this is the matchup that you're good at.
Yeah, I hear you.
So like I get what you're saying as far as it'd be cool to have like a coach per lane and know that he's a master player from that lane. That'd be awesome actually. That's like the dream. But a elite team like us, we would never get that unless we had salary to provide for them.
But I think that's the difference though, because someone who is a self-proclaimed coach, so to speak, or they're trying out for a coach, they aren't just some high tier person in a role. They aren't just like, hey, I'm master. Like, I'm a cutie pie. I wouldn't consider to be a coach. He's got way more game knowledge than me, obviously.
Well,
He's
we're
way
a
better
forums
mechanically.
teams too, yeah. Other than LCS, you guys for those that are trying to establish team, whoever you listen to that are coaching, if they tell you that, yeah, because I hear that a lot when it comes to coaching, where they say like they coach for this team that's now in the LCS and all this other stuff. Don't buy in that stuff. If he was that good, he'd
I
have
don't
a
buy
salary.
into that stuff. But like,
right, I'm just letting our audience know.
But if I had wanted to, I could, like I said, you don't have to play the game to know it.
Right,
like,
right.
You can know everything there, like the analogy. You can know everything there is about football, but suck playing it. You know what I mean. But same with as a coach, like you can. Yes, being diamond or masters shows that you can apply the knowledge that you have. But you can like study each role and know everything about each role and how a team should play, study teams, watch other coaches, like other actual established pro coaches, and then coach for younger teams or lower elo teams. Those are the type of people that I consider people that are coaching, that actually are trying to be a coach. Someone who's just high elo solo queue player, I would never consider to be a coach. So if you had brought somebody who's like, hey, this guy's really high elo, and that's his only accreditation, I really wouldn't consider him to be a coach. You know what I mean?
Gotcha.
Mm-hmm.
Um, okay, I'll get to my exception here.
Yeah,
The
yeah.
only exception that I would consider if somebody came up saying I was creating a team, what do you think about coaching? I would ask them how much you know about the game and how much you know in other roles. Because if you don't know a lot, if you don't know much about warding placements, or you only know how to ward for your top side of the map because you're a top laner, then you probably need a coach because you can't, like, I don't know. It all depends on what elo you are too, especially if you're a lower elo. So like today, I was probably over explaining like how I want ADC to play in the bot lane, right? And I wasn't trying to discredit E-girls, and he knows that. He knows that. So I'm
Hmm.
not trying to do apology right now, as I know his mind, how he's thinking. Um, but if you were a silver player, right? Like that's something different. If I know something and maybe you don't know it, because we're all silvers, I saw something in video, I show it. But I was more or less like with like if we're all plat, so another plat team, assume that your guys knows what to do. You can make bullet points or outline like, hey, this is how I want you to play. So don't worry about roaming, and the rest of the team, because I'm explaining this, knows you're not going to roam. But if you don't know all the information, I mean, you can talk to your teammates, but at the end of the day, if you're trying to just get established, like you're in that captain position and you want to have like more of an authority of they're coming in here and I want to be established and know that they're in good hands, then I would recommend getting a coach if you don't know much about the game, especially if you're lower elo. Um, because you don't know, you don't want to pretend and say that you know how to play the game and then you lose credibility and you guys just leave you. So that's the only exception. If I don't know much about the game and other roles, and I watch a lot of Nice and LS, and I would recommend if you guys are trying to do teams, watch other players, watch informative videos, educational videos on League of Legends. But I watch a lot of LS and Nice. Those are both good examples if you're trying to create a team and want videos to watch. So I know a lot about other roles because they coach multiple roles. And that's what has helped me become a better player just overall and understanding where everybody's struggling in different lanes and how to play the map. But if you don't know that information because you're brand new to the game or whatever, then look for a coach and ask him questions. Let him present a game plan to you. Don't just take him on and take his word for it. Talk to the guy, interview him just how you would a regular teammate, and figure out where his head's at and what's his thought process are. If it sounds good, try him out. If you want, just try a one-on-one session. Have him watch a replay of you, and he coach you. And if you like what you hear, be like, yeah, man, we'll try you out in the team environment, see how you do with the team. But otherwise, just be leery of what he says and what his credibilities are, because it's just human nature to try to talk yourself up and try to not necessarily lie, but over exaggerate what you have done.
Yeah.
Sounds
Um,
good.
So that's about it for our team talk portion of our talk show, right? We went over, how to. Oh, the only thing we didn't cover is looking for a team. We talked a lot about establishing a team, but looking for a team, we covered it a little bit. But looking for a team, if you guys don't mind, I actually want to leave this question this time. Um, so looking for a team, I think the number one thing is when you're looking for a team is to see literally everything we just talked about, see if that is present. Does he take recruitment seriously, or he's just grabbing the first people come up? Does he have a practice schedule? Does he outline and know what type of team he wants to be? Does he want to be competitive, casual, or flex? And depending on what type of team he wants to be, dictates how he should do recruitment. If he says he's just a flex group and he's just getting a lot of people together and he doesn't do an interview, that's probably legit. He probably is serious about it because he doesn't have to do a lot of captain work. But if he says he's competitive, we're doing tournaments, and you applied and he said, yeah, you're on the team, get in here. Then that's it. It's just I don't think he's that serious. Or he doesn't ask you questions before you try out, like, are you able to make our team's practice schedule? He's just grabbing the first five people. Whether or not he says he is, that's probably what he's doing. He's just grabbing the first five people. He just doesn't know it yet in his head because he doesn't know what he's doing. Um, but that should be the number one thing. If you fill out an application on the forums, there should be a practice schedule. Or if you send friend requests, you should ask for a practice schedule. If that is not present, do not try out for that team because it's just heat of the moment. He just lost in a game and he thinks he can do better if he has a team backing him. So it's literally heat of the moment. That team is gonna be disbanded within a week to a month. Um, but that's my feedback. Just everything we just said, like, see if that's present. What are your guys' thoughts since you actually did like look for a team and was looking for, you were looking for one where I created the team.
I think you just covered it pretty well, to be honest with you. That's
Yeah,
like mainly all the stuff I was looking for.
Yeah, when I was looking for a team, I just wanted something serious. I wanted something with like commitment and schedule. And when you had that form and you found me, you hit every major point during the interview. And that's kind of what the interview is. Like, yeah, they're trying out, but it's also a, do I want to go with you guys as well? Like, it's a two-way thing.
Yeah, completely agree. So that does it for our portion for our team talk show. But we do want to we do have a little bit of segment towards the end. It's not as long as our team talk. So those who are just interested in hearing like our thoughts outside of team discussions or want to listen to something outside team discussions, this is it for you. It's a little bit, it's a lot shorter than what like the team talk is. A lot less stuff. But the number one topic, I mean not number one. The first topic here is ruins. Like, what do we think about the new ruin system?
I love them.
I definitely
I
think they're pretty good.
love them. They're more impactful. The last runes. Oh, I need armor. You got armor. Like 9 of those exact same runes of armor. It was redundant. It made no sense. Like, you know, and then there was just tons of runes that just had experience runes, movement speed runes. Like, they were pointless because you didn't want to lose out on the base stuff. So it was, every rune page was generally the same. If you were AD, you had attack, armor for lane, MR for, you know, the mages. Like, it was the same thing over and over and over and over and over. With these new runes, everything you get is impactful, even the smaller runes. And I like that because you can have different builds because you're not ruining the base stats of your champion because everyone's at the same level now. No one's got extra armor, extra AD, you know what I mean? I love that.
You think it's too complicated for new players? Whereas like the old ruin system, all you had to do was look up a guide and you're good. Do you think this is too complicated for new players?
Well, I think once these get situated, people will look up a guide, and it's easier to explain why you go these routes. Like, you know, electrocute for assassins. This guy could do 3 separate abilities really easily. He can easily proc it, a lot of damage. Like, it's easy to explain, and I think it's confusing. Like, okay, so you have 9 marks, you have 9 glyphs, you got 9, you know, this, and then you got 3 quints, and then I think that's confusing. It's like, okay, they're all the same. I don't know. I think it's preference. I personally love the change. I think having a build behind your back that's actually going to be impactful. Like, every single thing has got a point, like Triumph giving you health after every kill. That's something mentally like, okay, if I can kill him, I can get some health back, and I should be able to survive the minions or whatever. Just tons of. Sure, some of them might be a little more advanced, but I think overall, each thing is giving you something unique, and I think that's easily more understandable than a very vague. You are required to get AD, armor, magic resist. You know what I mean?
Right.
That's just my take.
Yeah, I just enjoy how snowbally it makes it, honestly.
Faster games.
Yep. I enjoy snowballing, so it's my preference.
I do like them for what the reasons Twin said. However, I wish there was some stat stuff built in though. I really do. I wish there was some stats built in because top lane right now is like fucking really confusing. And tanks just don't feel good right now. It's kind of like the last game we played when I was Maokai and there was a Teemo. And no, I didn't die to the guy, but I was like wanting to cry. Like it was,
Yeah,
it was
dude.
a nightmare.
Tanks suck. They take so much damage.
I still got the first kill on them because right now armor and magic resist are worth more than what they were in the past, and they do a lot more for you because the damage that they're doing, they don't scale as hard, and they don't have as much armor pin or magic pin. But it's a nightmare to get through early game, and it's like what E-Girl said, it's a snowbally meta. And so, like, yeah, I got that last game. Yeah, I got the first kill on Teemo, you know, eventually, like, after we were, like, level, like, 10. Was the first death, you know, in that lane. But it was just a nightmare. He was easy, like, towards the end, when I killed him, he was easy, like, 40 CS over me. And even that kill just didn't make up for it, you know, the gold deficit. But it was at that point where I was no longer scared of him just because the armor and magic resist is worth more now. But that's the only complaint I got. I wish there was some stats built in to get me through early game for tanks. And I'm sure they'll fix it. Right, will fix it eventually. So next topic, right? I'm gonna try and blow through these a little bit quicker. Goals for season 8. How are we gonna accomplish them? As a players, not a team. As players.
I'm gonna hit D5 by playing AD carry.
Alright.
I'm gonna hit D5 by playing. Well, believe it or not, I'm probably gonna hit D5 on my solo queue playing top or mid, just because carry rolls.
Well,
But
I think we all got pretty much the same goal, but I'm an overachiever, so I'm gonna hit Diamond 4 by playing top lane.
Ooh!
Damn.
Realistic goals,
One
Panda.
up.
Um, so all right, so okay, so I'll be Diamond 5 with 1 LP, so I'll be a little bit above you guys, overachiever.
Okay, that's more realistic.
All right, so next question. All right, this is our last, like, I'll say serious question. I got one more question after this. Last serious question. Do you think you need to switch roles in order to climb? So this is like the stigma of the community. If you're a support player, you have to switch roles in order to climb because it's just too difficult to climb as support.
If that were the case, there would be no supports unless you were challenger.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I feel like you don't ever need to like switch roles to climb. I feel like if you're good enough, you'll just climb anyway.
Because unless you're like challenger, you know, rank 1, the top ranks, aren't you always trying to climb?
Right.
So if there's a mindset that you can't climb with support, I think supports have a slight disadvantage because even if they get their bot lane fed, they have to depend on their team doing things to get stuff done. Especially if you're someone like Soraka and you can't like make a big play like, you know, like Leon or whatever. But say I get fed as a Kali, I can do stuff on my own to get my team going. You know what I mean?
Right. My thing is, if somebody feels like they can't climb as support, go watch Bunny Fufu. That's what I gotta say. Go watch his plays and tell me that you cannot climb as support. But it's realistically though, even if you're not mechanically good as Bunny Fufu, every role though has their like weaknesses and strengths and conditions to do for the team, right? You have certain things you have to do as a team. And if you're not climbing, that just means you're not doing what you're supposed to be doing for the team right. And you need to go back and watch that. No, you don't do damage support, but there's other stuff that you can be doing. People told me in top lane that like it was like when I first started that I have to switch to mid or ADC if I ever want carry because that was like a more damage oriented time too. And I just stuck with top lane, and you know, sure enough, I got better. I understood like as a top laner, what do you need to do in order to climb? So like yeah, champions like Maokai, they can't kill a lot of people. Like it's just one of the things. You might get kills, but you're not gonna be super fed like an ADC or a carry. But what people don't understand is they still have that mindset when they get in team fights, like lower elos, they will still go after their ADCs and carries on the enemy team rather than pulling for their ADC and carry. So it's just small stuff you guys gotta do, and there's a time and place for everything. There's time and place for me to die for that carry. There's a time and place where I have to peel for my carry, and you just have to understand what your role as a team needs to be and how you have to perform it correctly in order to climb. So that's the thing. Like League of Legends, it's not like I do a lot of damage, I win, I climb. That's not League of Legends. It's very team oriented, and I think lower elos have that stigma. You have to do damage in order to climb. So I think they just have to change their mindsets and understand there's multiple things that you have to get better at in the game. Last
Right.
question. Last question for our talk show. I'm sorry, guys. I know we went a little bit over an hour from when I attended. And now this is an experiment for us. Like it's trial and error, right? Episode 1. But the last question we got, right? Not to get too many time. How many e-girl fans will it take in order for e-girls to quit the team since he hates e-girls?
See, that's when
Oh
I'd
my.
leave the Discord, but
One.
probably like
One.
I don't know. It depends.
If
Yeah.
if we knew someone that was female, like and she started streaming, e-girls would be gone. Just
Yeah.
be gone.
I think
Gone.
if e-girls joined the team, I'd be out.
Maybe we have to take bids. Well, I was just talking about fans. So yeah, maybe we'll have 2 pools. How many
Probably, like,
e-girls does
over
it take to
10.
join the team? I guess it's just 1. So
It's
so
like,
how many e-girl fans do we need in order for him to quit? We'll just start bidding. Like all the team members, they'll bid on what how many it takes, and then when he finally leaves, we have to do a you know how they do like countries, what is it called, census?
Oh my
census?
gosh.
Yeah, so we'll have
Take
to
a
do that for our
census.
Discord channel.
Seems like a plan, dude. Like,
And then our community manager Nicole, you guys can see her on the stream and the video when this goes out on YouTube as well, since we do post the or show the chat. So she's saying if she became an analyst, will he quit?
Hmm.
That's not an e-girl though. That's not an e-girl.
No, I wouldn't quit.
Okay. All
You're not a
right.
streamer with your bare tits out.
Or somebody who doesn't know how to play support.
What if I pretend to be it? What if I pretend to be an e-girl and I got my tits out?
Nah, that's just
You
pretend.
just
That's
watch me on stream one day and I'm shirtless with a wig on.
fine.
I would-
Claiming to be
Whatever
Hannah
pays the bills,
Montana.
I guess.
Claiming to be Hannah Montana.
Hey man, I'm not gonna
Okay.
judge.
I would quit immediately.
All right, that's gotta do it for us, guys. That was the Team Shuriken Talk Show episode 1. Sorry for anything you didn't like or did, well, yeah, sorry for anything you did like. But this is a trial and error thing. We'll get better as we go. Production will be better. Hopefully we'll have webcams for everybody here real soon. That was a little bit miscommunication, but we planned for it to be Thursday, so we did it Thursday. So dedication over, I don't know, quantity over quality, I guess. So we'll have an exact schedule of trying to do this because I want to try to do an episode once a week. And we'll talk about as a team and try to get stuff rolling. And we'll bring similar topics that has to deal with the team since we are a team and we're growing ourselves, so we can bring in our experiences onto the show and talk to you guys about it. So those who are either trying to make their teams better because you already have a team, or you're trying to create a team, you'll have these experiences and this conversation in mind when you're doing that. So I want to thank you guys for watching, and we'll catch you in episode 2.